Okay, we'll go back to desktop share. Okay, I'm just letting Solange in here. And I included in chat some of the previous videos that relate to the topic. So included in there are actually 4 videos. One is on doing location video, and that would include using something like your iPhone, which we could talk about today as far as doing a Zoom session, taking advantage of the AirPlay feature on, say, your iPhone. Also covers everything from just recording stuff outside and using different cameras and different approaches. So one of the interests in today's topic is to talk about possibilities for doing either live streams or even pre-recorded videos where you might have multicam setups. I know that Sean Ryland in chemistry has experimented with some of this, and it's the kind of thing that you can actually do on Zoom, and we can talk about some of that today, just doing some of the switching here. So very simply, kind of to start off, if I go to my video selection, you can't see this on screen, unfortunately, but I'm just going to the video tab, and of course my FaceTime camera is showing now. I could switch to other cameras I might have plugged in, so if I had a demonstration and I wanted to do something in another area, I could do that, and it could be really good, like for my wife is taking a yoga class virtually, and there were situations where she was doing standing poses and poses on the ground using blocks and so forth. And so it occurred to me at that time that it would be very easy to do a multi-camera setup and something like that, say for the instructor, even using Zoom, and then you could do some simple camera switching here. You can do this all using the video selection, and so you could have, you know, a yoga class going. You could have one camera, if you're the instructor, showing sort of your profile of your body standing up, and then you can have a second camera set up. And you could even name those, and then it would be as simple as switching to that second camera and then allowing that instruction to kind of like continue seamlessly. The other way is using sharing in Zoom, of course. So today, if I have my iPhone going, and it's going to tell me, unfortunately, this is one disadvantage of using this. So what I have to do every time, it seems like, is I have to go back to my phone and select screen mirroring, and I'm using this on an iPhone, then click on Zoom. The minute I do that, my phone will be functioning as not just a second camera, but I could use it basically for anything. So in real time, I could use my iPhone camera. There's some latency, there's some delay you're seeing. It's not quite going with my voice. Mike, let me unmute you. Go ahead. I think are you still muted?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Thanks, Scott.
Yeah.
So Scott, before we get too far into this, this might be a little more advanced than I'm really ready to tackle. So I just had a couple quick questions about the background of this. Mm-hmm. So when you're talking about multi-cameras, I guess my interest was specifically in Zoom when I'm teaching.
Sure. And, we can go over that. Absolutely.
And so just as a kind of a prerequisite, do we need any special hardware?
Nope. No, anything. Now, if you want to do more than one camera, if you want to have multiple cameras set up, then you could get, I have a couple webcams set up here, and as low as like about $20, I've seen a flash sale for a webcam on Amazon. You could use that, and that would allow you to certainly do some of the stuff we're talking about today. Sorry, let me just, my phone is freaking out. You could also use a phone as a second camera, and at any time, you know, connecting with Bluetooth or connecting with the share screen option in Zoom, you can use your phone as a second camera, or also just as a second device. So if I'm trying to show my students how to use the Canvas version of the app on the iStore, you know, the Mac store or the Android store, I could also in real time, anything I touch on my phone and do on my phone, my students will see on the screen using the iPhone screen share. So you don't
can control both of those sources right inside of Zoom?
Yeah, absolutely. You can do that. In fact, I wish there was a way to just show you. So I'll just show you with a screenshot here. Let me just take a quick screenshot. So one of the things about Zoom is if you have certain settings, you won't be able to show private screens. So like right now, if I take the chat room and put it in the front of the screen, even though I have a screen share going, you won't be able to see that simply because of the fact that there's privacy settings. And actually, let me go to screen sharing and make sure I have the right sharing going here. I actually want the desktop to be showing. So what I could do is in my video tab right in Zoom, kind of showing it here, if you could see the screenshot, it's very easy to control different cameras or devices. So anything that you plug in using USB, or again, your camera will be a different setting. If I use my camera and I just have it set up on a tripod today, if I use the camera, Zoom will give me two options: a lightning cable, which could be a little more stable, and maybe that latency, that lag that sometimes happens with our voice and our sound won't happen. But you could either use a cable to plug it in, or you could do it via the actual screen share through, I think it runs it through Bluetooth. But any camera that I plug in, so if I plug in my webcam, two webcams, if I plug in a digital microscope, all of those will show up as sources on Zoom. And it's very easy to switch. So I can do that right now. If I just go to my, again, you're not seeing this, but I'm going to this tab here, that is my video tab. And I can do that for microphones too. So those of you that work with audio, Eric and Solange, you know this, you could set up, I could have my mixer running in via USB, and then if I wanted to use that, it's the same almost as plugging in multiple USB cameras. So yeah, what I could do right now is go to my video tab, and I can switch to my second camera. And it's simply just set up here on, you can see my hand there, it's just set up on another location. And these are actually two different webcams. So this was a more expensive one, and it looks, to be honest, a lot nicer. And I was looking at the difference between that one and this $20 webcam. The $20 webcam, you're getting this really, you're getting an issue kind of with the exposure, and maybe there are some settings I could adjust. But again, if you want the simplicity of, if you're teaching a class and you have a second area you want to show, I was thinking like for culinary arts, you could have your first camera set up for you doing a lecture, you know, like you're talking about some recipe you're going to create, and you could talk like this. And this is just my FaceTime camera. So this is the main camera coming out of my computer. And then if I wanted to, I could switch to my second camera just by going again to my video tab, choose my second camera, and I could still be talking on top of this, but the students are seeing a different scene. And then what I could do is, like, if this was set up and I want my students to see the mise en place, where they're, you know, where you're setting up all your ingredients to create your dish, and maybe you have your webcam set up on the stove, your hands and stuff would still be in this area. And of course, they're still hearing your voice because you're still choosing your voice. If you can see on the screen here, if that screenshot is still showing, it is. Just like I select my video, I could go to my microphone tab and I could choose, you know, different audio settings. But for practical purposes, unless you're maybe doing music production or doing something involving audio, you're probably just going to have this set on your main microphone. I have a Bluetooth mic, or not a Bluetooth, a wired microphone here that I can use at any time. Actually, you're not seeing that. This is one of the discoveries of this. You start to forget that which camera you are using. And I could look at my tabs on the side, but yeah, you know, if you have a microphone hooked in, or you use the air microphone off your computer, then you know, you're probably not going to be messing too much with the audio tabs. So yeah, the idea of today is to talk about opportunities to do multi-camera setups, and Zoom is probably the easiest to do. Keep in mind, you can't do a simultaneous setup. And to do that, you would need something like OBS Studio, which is perfectly free. OBS Studio is a live streaming program, and the advantage of it is you could have 2, 3, 4 different cameras set up at the same time, and the students could see all that simultaneously. So it kind of really depends on what you're trying to do in your class. Again, the example from yoga that my wife was taking this class the other week is a good one, because I felt like it was very clunky. She kept asking me to readjust the webcam. I actually set the webcam up for her because she had her laptop, and the laptop, you know, with the swivel, it's really hard to get a full view of the body. So what I would typically do is have a, like either on a microphone stand or a, this is actually I kind of jerry-rigged it today. I make some special clamps for this, but I just have a clamp holding up the webcam here on a, it's not quite a tripod. It's for lighting equipment. But I set this up for her, and I thought, well, that's going to work because it's going to get more of her body. And if someone is teaching or learning yoga, it's about seeing the whole body and also the instructor's body. But then the issue was when she went to a different pose, the camera had to be more on the ground because she was doing stuff on the ground. And it occurred to me at that moment, like, oh, that would be a great opportunity. Now, this would require the student to have more than one camera set up, which is a big ask. But I think for instructors, if you're willing to spend, $20, say, and this cheaper webcam is not as good as the $70 one, but it's pretty good. I mean, it's not terrible. Again, if you look at, the quality of the video, you're getting this kind of luminous, just on the back of my setup here, this luminous kind of cloud that isn't terribly great. And if you compare that to the more expensive one, you're seeing that the exposure settings are a lot better on it. So go ahead, Mike. Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, so Scott, do you have a recommendation for the highest quality camera that really is going to make it a difference in Zoom for doing Zoom instruction and that kind of thing? Because I want the best quality, but I know at some point the quality is going to be limited to like the bandwidth and the program you're running it on, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I can show you I should probably get this image off the screen. I can show you the particular, and I can send these as well. And they're not, the only ones. I was kind of interested in just finding some options. So this was the more expensive one. And, it kind of does, I think, potentially there actually is looks like there's a coupon. So if you buy it now, that coupon I don't think was available when I should probably return it and rebuy it with the coupon, right? $15 off. But this is the one that I was showing you that is, and let me just like switch that real quick so you can see the quality. I just noticed that the resolution seemed a little bit better and like the exposure settings. Let me move it a little bit here. So again, I was kind of interested in just something that was fairly decent that gave me a second camera option if I had a second location to show something. So that's like actually what $70 minus 15. So it's a little cheaper. And then the second one, let me show you that one. Actually, you can see all my purchases. I buy a lot of gear here. So microphones, it was this one actually, was a lightning deal. And I bought 2 of these and I returned 1. But the lightning deal was actually at the time, it was like $20. And it advertised it as a 1080p. And I can send you the links for that. And again, I'll just switch to that camera there. And you see the only issue I'm having is I'm getting this, I have a video light set up, which I really like. It's a Bluetooth video light, but you see it just really has some issues. If it gets too bright, I think it's with the exposure setting or the white balance, it starts to get kind of a little luminous cloud, but it's not terrible actually. I mean, again, you can see my mixer. It seems like as long as the light isn't shining too bright on it, then I don't have an issue. So I think, like for around $20, again, the prices change, and what you could just do is you could go to Amazon and you could just type in, like if you want to 1080p webcam, and a bunch of options will come up. There's a lot of differences I found with mounting options, and I've made some kind of just on my own, these little adapters. Let me see, I can try to show you it if, yeah. I kind of just created these little adapters in my shop, and they just allow me to have a surface that the webcam can sit on, and then I just stick those on a microphone stand. And, oh, that's not good. This just broke on me. So here you go, cheap equipment. It's happening in real time. I think I just have to screw it in, but this just broke off on my one adapter. So I think I just have to screw it into my stand or re-glue it. But you can certainly jerry-rig a lot of options. If you get a webcam, what happens is they've designed these, and it makes sense, so that they fit on a flat surface such that the lip, let me get this right, the lip will sit here, and then kind of up against your computer, it will sit like that. And so it has this adjustable thing. Now, the more expensive one I bought has a thread for a microphone. I don't know if it's a 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch screw that's really handy. Or again, you could just make something and get a clamp. And the reason that this is happening, that these aren't designed necessarily for flat surfaces, is most people probably selling these think that our #1 use is going to be putting this on top of our computer to use as a webcam. But if you already have a FaceTime camera, if you already have something on your phone, most of us have a built-in webcam. The idea would be to get a second camera set up such that you could have a second location. And again, I think you could do this without breaking the bank. A question out there as we're thinking about like moving forward, you know, kind of a question for administration or senior leadership is, you know, we have expenses, we have things that we're spending money on, but yet I think our budgets have been frozen, departmental budgets. And I'm a little concerned. I know they gave everyone like a small stipend for technology, I think, but it may have only been full-timers. And that could probably, you could probably get like a camera with that. But if you look at the prices here on Amazon, again, it ranges from $20 all the way up through like $100. But if you just read some of the reviews, I found that they're fairly reliable, and you could see what, you know, most of these are advertised as 1080p, but again, you could have some issues that come up with like the exposure settings and the white balance, a huge range. And actually when COVID hit, hardly any webcams were available because I think everybody was going to Zoom and doing Zoom meetings. But now that things have slowed down, although I heard that paper towels are out again. So I guess there's another shortage on paper towels. But these were out of stock because I checked right when we went online, and now you can get, you know, any model that you want. So what you could always do is I often will buy something on Amazon, and if I don't like the quality of it, I could just send it back. Again, you don't have to have like super duper, you know, we're not Solange, right, making a movie for Hollywood if we're teaching a class. Most students are going to be very comfortable, I think, if you have, you know, a decent web camera, and it might not look super great, but if you're able to switch from your main camera here to your second camera with your second location, then I think that could be very useful, just, you know, pedagogically for demonstrating something in a classroom setting. But let me just open it up to what all of you are thinking you might be doing in terms of possibly live streaming or second camera setups for what you're teaching in any of your disciplines.
Well, I'll jump in here. I use a whiteboard a lot in drawing graphs and things. So I just been working on a whiteboard app for my iPad and getting a pencil, a better quality pencil, and working with different whiteboard apps just to see which one is the most flexible. So I'll probably be doing my whiteboard stuff on my iPad, although I do have a whiteboard. It's not a big one, you know, it's like 24 inches by 18 inches. I might use it for that on occasion if that gets a little awkward. I'm not sure. I haven't used the, I'm going to try it for the first time today because I do have my own Zoom meeting at 3 o'clock. So I'm going to have to check out my very first one with economic students. I've got a lot of anxiety, trying to keep a smile on, but it's tough.
And you're doing, Eric, you're doing a lot of drawing, right? So you need something.
I am, a lot of graphs, you know, and the thing is, what's cool about the whiteboard is it draws straight lines for you. And it draws dotted lines. And it saves the pages into your photos, but it doesn't save it into the app where I could create a presentation, you know, and just shift one at a time to the next page. There's no going back. Maybe there's an upgrade on that app. I've been doing a lot of, probably up to a dozen PowerPoint presentations with audio and, you know, my voice narrating them stuff. And each one takes me a couple of days minimum. And, you know, the first time through and having 2 courses, I've been putting in like 14 hours a day for the last 2 months doing those. And I don't even have my second module up yet. So
that's a ton of work.
Whine.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not, it's reality. I don't think it's whining. And, you know, the good news is, because now if you hear the vaccine news, they're saying, you know, it could be late 2021, you know, if a vaccine is available. The distribution, because of refrigeration, they said they'll need 8,000 planes just, you know, for the US. So if we're doing this for a while, the good news is, you know, save all your stuff, again, back everything up on a hard drive. Make sure you, and Canvas will save a lot of this for you. Make sure you save that stuff, because certainly the next time you teach, and maybe, you know, I'm not telling you how to approach your dean or just, you know, say what class you want to teach, but if they ask you to do a new class every single quarter, that's the opportunity maybe to say, hey, you know, I've got this great material I designed for my econ. Can I do econ again? Because, you know, boy, I've spent, you know, all this time doing this work just to get it in the place I want it to be. And that totally makes sense. The problem is when you do a new class, even though you can keep some of your skills, you have to do brand new videos and you update stuff. I was updating one of my classes. I'm doing an ISP and a DE, and you know, the DE, everything I did 2 years ago, it's outdated. So even just doing the updates, the readings, dead YouTube links all the time, you have to find new stuff. So I totally hear you, and I think it's totally legit.
Yeah,
so,
I don't anticipate any of the stuff that I'm doing since I've been teaching for the last 37 years.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not been that long. This stuff has evolved. And I've been teaching what I've been teaching. Microeconomics stuff and public speaking skills and things don't change. So these things, I don't envision I'll ever be teaching a face-to-face class the same, you know, after all the work I've done on these things. I'll be showing these things. I'm not a PowerPoint guy in the past, maybe a few per quarter, but now I'll be reading the paper while I'm clicking on this thing. You know?
right. So Eric, I was going to say, in terms of, so the Whiteboard app, that's on a tablet. Are you using the Whiteboard built into Zoom or no?
No, I didn't. I looked at a Zoom app, but let me see if you can draw a straight line with that thing. You have a.
I'll try. I'm a terrible.
Hold down Shift.
There's a menu, and
hold down Shift. Maybe you might be able to draw with one of the keys, like a Shift or a Control, possibly.
Yeah,
well, there are stamps. Yeah, see, that's the best I can do. Straight line.
You see, with this one, there's a menu of different shapes, and so you choose the line shape. Boom, you can draw a straight line, and it draws it straight. You can choose an arrow, but my arrows are cool. They're long as I want to make them. Mm-hmm. I'll be using lots of hearts always.
Oh, here we go. Look at this. This is a straight line tool.
Yes.
There you go.
That's what I can do.
Okay.
I can do that with an arrow too. I can do that with an arrow. So
yeah, I had it on the freehand. So freehand, you can do whatever you want.
I need that to be able to draw letters and things.
Yeah. So this has everything. So it has shapes, and you could fill in the shapes, and then it has text. So you know.
What are you using right now, Scott?
Okay. So this is when you go to. Let me take a screenshot again. So when you go to, I need to undo my hidden windows thing. Here's my screenshot, and I'm seeing multiple versions, so I'm kind of losing. Sorry about this. So here it is. So when you go to screen share, all these options come up, and you could select a window. You could do your desktop. Again, the iPhone setting I was using was through these two here. I just click on Whiteboard, and so the minute you click on Whiteboard, the Whiteboard will open up for you. And
how about saving that page?
Do that.
How about saving that page when you go to your next page?
Yeah, you can save. So what you do is hit the save button, and then you hit show in Finder, and then it'll save it all to the same folder in Zoom, and it'll have, that's the Whiteboard that was saved. And then it also saves the chat for you at the same time.
Can you put in multiple pages into that particular file?
Let's try that. So if I think what's going to happen is I clear this, clear all drawings, clear my drawings, clear viewer drawings are the options that are showing for me. So I think if I do a second one here and save it, let's try that again, save, and again it's showing me, at least on my screen, show in Finder. And so what it does is it saves each of them as a separate file. So this is Whiteboard 1. This saves them as PNG, so okay quality.
All right, well that's cool.
Yeah,
that's
like
a little
that.
more flexible than going to my photos for them. And you say students can draw on this too?
Yep, student could do it as well. I think there's.
I mean, can they draw on my drawing?
I think so. So let me go to my Zoom and settings real quick. And this is because there are a couple different settings. Let me just look up Whiteboard. Yeah, okay, so allow hosts and participants to share Whiteboard during a meeting. I believe that's the default. If it's blue, it means it's on. If it's gray, it's off. And then auto-save Whiteboard content when sharing is stopped. That could be pretty good because then that way you're going to just make sure that, and you could save it as a PDF too, which is kind of cool. So if you saved it as a PDF, you might eliminate a step. I mean, you could upload a PNG file to your website, but what could be cool, Eric, is after you do a lecture, you could have a folder set up in your files on Canvas, and then either have those PNGs or PDFs saved in that folder, and then you could just say to your module, hey, if you missed my lecture, here's the video of it, and all my slides that I drew, my econ slides, have been saved for you. And you could just link to that file.
I have that PDF function on this other app also.
Okay. And if you're cool with another app, again, I would say
I figured I'd be using it today, so I spent an hour and a half, figuring it out last night.
Yeah, try it out.
But this looks good too. I'll spend some time with it.
Yeah, and again,
if I can do this, I don't have that big of a need for a second camera. I'm thinking this is all I would need it for.
Yeah. And the other thing you can do, a whiteboard. I don't think I have one. I have one over there. Let me just look real quick. I might have one here on my shelf. Give me 1 second. I guess I don't.
Hi, Mike. It's been a long time. I haven't seen you around. Good to see you.
Yes, Eric. Nice to see you. It's been a while.
The interaction was about 1998.
I don't have a whiteboard, but what you could do is, again, if you just have your wall and you set something up, there's one setting you should check in Zoom, and that specifically is, I believe the keyword is flip. I discovered that everything was showing up backwards, and so I think is the keyword flip or somewhere in here, I'm forgetting.
I think.
Mirror. Is it mirror? You know what I'm talking about? No, it's not finding it. Basically what happened was in the past, this was flipped, and so you couldn't read any text. And then I just went into Zoom and I adjusted that setting wherever it is, somewhere in here, that says, show the mirror image. I thought, like you said, Mike, it was the word mirror, but I'm not finding that.
It's in the settings. Go to settings, and then under settings, it's under video tab. And that video tab, there's a little check mark that says mirror my video or something like that.
That's what I thought. Yeah. And it might actually be
delivery.
Yeah. You know what? I think it's in the actual app, the app version of it. I think.
Of Zoom, you're talking about?
Yeah, under preferences, because you know how so I don't know if you can see it right now. Do you see my settings?
No.
You don't. Okay.
There's another setting in Zoom. You could go check it right now, and it says.
Oh, here it is. Yep, I found it. Here it is. Right here. So I'll just show you it seems like I have to do a screenshot. A lot of this stuff Zoom defaults.
There's a setting
right here.
There's a setting in Zoom that you could say, hide my Zoom windows. And so you have to uncheck that in the settings if you want us to see your Zoom windows.
But can you see this now? This image of me?
No.
Oh, what do you see on the screen right now?
Still the whiteboard.
Oh, I'm still on the whiteboard. Hold on. Let me stop the whiteboard. That's the issue. Okay. Yep.
Now we see you.
Yeah. So right here, the mirror my video. I don't know if you can see that.
Yes, we can see that.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So that's the setting. So I was just thinking for Eric, like if you're doing, if you have a whiteboard and if ever the text or the diagram is backwards,
yes,
you could just experiment with click mirror my video. So, but I have that off and it appears to be fine because my text is showing up the way that I want it to be, so you can read it.
I think it might be fun just to tell the kids I'm dyslexic and let them sort it out.
So Scott, I had a question about that. My assumption, and it might be a wrong assumption, is that when you say mirror my video, that's only for you as to get visual feedback back at you when you're sending it. I assume that mirror my video did not mirror the video when it got transmitted out.
Yeah,
I thought it did. So right now
really?
Is this backwards or by my sign? Can you read it?
No, I can read your sign. It says I'm virtual, or it's a little small. I have to.
Okay. Now, what about if I do this? Is it still the same?
It's still the same.
Okay. So yeah, apparently that has then no effect on what the viewer sees.
Oh, that's good
Not
to
the
know.
yeah, that's my
Okay.
assumption because the viewer never wants to see a mirrored one. It's just if you when you want to get feedback as you're talking as you're
Well, you're
doing it.
right.
Like for
Yeah.
example, when I raise my hand over here, you guys see it correctly that it's my right hand. But
Yeah.
when I'm looking at it, it looks like it's in the mirror for me.
Yeah. Well, you know what? This came up. We were doing interviews for, it was one of the positions at the college.
Yeah, I get it.
And Laura Ryland printed up backwards versions of our name cards because for some reason, and I thought we were doing Zoom, but there was some issue with, you know, people were seeing all their names backwards.
It might have been just us transmitting it out, looking at it, it says backwards, but maybe the other people were seeing it correct. And now it's just the opposite. We might see it correctly because it's mirrored and the other people might see it backwards.
Yeah. So hopefully that's true. If it's having no effect, because the last thing I want is, and Eric, I could read your sign. So again, as long as students could see it. And again, if you're looking at it and if it doesn't look backwards to you, and it's this weird thing, like when I'm doing a lot of Zooms, I'm constantly forgetting what you're seeing versus what I'm seeing. And that would be a great opportunity.
Brains would flip them anyway. I think our brain processes everything upside down. Our eyeballs do, and then our brain over time reverses it. If you wear glasses, it takes a few days, but it'll reverse. If you wear glasses that alter that, it'll reverse in your brain after a while. So don't worry for the kids anyway. It'll switch.
I was playing with, when I did the Coyote kickoff, I was playing with a second monitor setup, but it got too complicated. And I just was like, I can't do this, because I was just trying to think of what, you know, the audience was seeing versus what I was seeing. And for me in a Zoom, that's hard to do. What's that?
You only use one monitor?
Yeah, you know, my current setup with my iMac, it doesn't allow, there are other ways I could do it. Using a Mac Mini, and then I could have that to a second monitor and just share it with a FireWire cable. But, you know, it just starts to get so complicated that I feel like sometimes, like when I'm running one of these meetings, like when I was doing Coyote Kickoff, it's like, I'm trying to figure out my video. I was trying to trigger using my Stream Deck thing I was showing you, little audio clips and videos. I was trying to read the chat, and I was also trying to let people in, you know, and that's a big challenge. I almost like, it sounds like, you know, kind of whiny, but it would almost be nice if we had people helping, like, you know, sort of running all this from behind the scenes, and we could just tell them, hey, okay, I need that clip now, trigger that clip, or I need this camera. Because it's really hard to just manage all this stuff. I'm constantly forgetting, like, you know, what is the audience seeing when I'm doing a screen share? Like a couple minutes ago, I thought you were seeing my screen and you were still seeing the whiteboard. So I'll tell you, that stuff's really hard, and it's really different when you teach a class in a classroom. None of, you know, you have those issues, but, you know, your whiteboard's always your whiteboard, and when you have to start a video, you start a video. So I feel like this is adding those layers of challenges because we can't directly see what our students are seeing on the screen. Sometimes we forget.
But when you show your whiteboard, I'm still seeing you in the Hollywood Squares box there, right?
Yes. The only way that'll change is, again, if I switch to a different camera. Once I change to a different camera, then you'll be able to see. And now I'm trying to think, oh, now it's this camera here. So then you won't see me. You'll still hear my voice. And so then I just have to go back and adjust. Zoom is pretty good about this. Again, it's almost real time. The only difference is you can't show two camera settings at once. And I experimented for the Coyote Kickoff with trying to share. I had a live streaming program open, and then I did a screen share, but Zoom got confused. So Zoom actually shut off the screen share because it was getting like a cereal box and cereal box effect, where it was just, you know, going to be like all the video of itself on itself, and you wouldn't be able to make it out. So that got really confusing. So what I did was last minute, I switched to just using Zoom screen share and didn't use OBS because I was just having real issues with getting all the technology to work. So I think I hit my plateau maybe of technology. And my advice is always like, you know, go with the minimum, like Occam's razor, you know, it's like simplicity. And then don't go above that, because it just gets really hard when you're trying to manage all the other stuff in a class. Like if everybody is sending you chat questions and you're managing two cameras and you're drawing and you're trying to manage files and you're looking at letting people in and out based on your waiting room, how the heck are you going to manage that all in real time? So
there was no way there's no way that I could even check my chat. I
yeah.
had 35 students in my, actually, yeah, 35 students in my class on Zoom all at the same time. And at the end of the whole session, the 2-hour session, like I don't think I looked at the chat once. I just didn't have time.
Yeah.
Like you said, managing these different things, and I have dual monitors, but I'm not super excited about it really.
Yeah.
I still have not got comfortable figuring out what goes where quite yet, and how to look at different places to make it feel a little more like I'm looking at the camera when I'm doing it, rather than looking to the side and I try to look at this other monitor, and I'm looking at the Hollywood squares over here. But whenever I do that, they're looking at the side of my face, and then I look back. And so I'm not totally convinced that dual monitor. I thought the dual monitors initially was the way to go, but Scott, I'm not totally convinced right now.
Yeah, I know. I tried it and I just felt like it just got so confusing, and it's one more piece of technology to have to monitor. The same thing with using I think it's cool using the iPhone share, but it seems like every time I'm switching to another camera, I have to go through 3 steps. I have to, scroll to the place to share, do screen mirroring, and then I have to make sure I'm on the right Wi-Fi and so forth. So every time you add those steps, I feel like it makes it that much harder for you to concentrate on your content during a class, just trying to lead it. The one thing that's helped me a little bit, and again, it's all of this stuff is, an expense, is my Stream Deck. I was trying to show you, so let me just pull the cord on here. I guess I could do let me just switch to this camera, but I was using a little bit of this during the Coyote Kickoff to try to just control things. So again, you could get different versions of the Stream Deck, and I did a whole video on it. These are
Scott,
all, go ahead.
Can you stop your share so we can see the bigger picture of what you're...
Oh, yeah. Let me do that. Stop share.
There we go.
Is it bigger now?
It's a little bigger, yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So yeah, I totally forgot about that. See, example. So you can get different key versions as small as, I think it's 8 key, and this is the largest one. And so this is all customizable using a program where basically you go in and you can at any time, again, this is my less decent. Let me get my other webcam. Hold on. I think it's going to be a little bit better here for you to see it. So this is an example just using, oops, hold on. Clicking too many buttons. Here it is. It's a little bit better. I'm just holding it by hand. So yeah, this has like many graphic screens, and so you can have animated GIFs or GIFs, however you pronounce it. And anytime I need to load a program, like if I want to do my video work, I load up Final Cut. If I use Audacity for audio stuff or Logic, and I click on those and automatically loads the programs. Or if I have sets of folders, I can have nested sets. So for any trainings I do, if I want to take someone to my website, I click that. Or anytime I need to log something or pull up a document, like if I need to pull up the faculty contract, I click that. And it just is a macro and the faculty contract loads up. So I used a little bit of this during the Coyote Kickoff, because if I needed to stop my recording, I would click the recording button. If I needed to go to full screen or end the meeting or whatever, that's a key to end the meeting. And you could set up as many of these as you want. Raise your hand, click that, and you could raise your hand, screenshot, click that. So I found that that was really useful in trying to run the Coyote Kickoff. And then I had another one set up where I had all my video clips. And the example I used, someone was doing the DNC convention and they were triggering all the cameras from home and all the audio. So this is kind of like that. So anytime I wanted a particular clip for a segment, I would press, and again, it's a little hard to see with the webcam, I would press the button and it would load that up for me. Or I had sound effects. See if it's going to do it. It's weird it's not doing it. Okay, it stopped working. But yeah, I had different sound effects that were triggered. I think I have to be in the OBS program for those to work. But basically, you could set up any macro that you want. You could set up folders. The mute is really handy. So if I needed to mute someone or mute everybody, depending on what is set up, the options in Zoom, I could do that. I could also have my different cameras. So anytime I press that, it would automatically switch to the other camera. And I don't think it'll do it now for me. Again, I probably have to be in my OBS program. So yeah,
the mute feature only works for the user in Zoom, for the administrator of the meeting, do I have a global mute for everyone, or how's that work?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, there's a global. So if you go under, now I'm trying to think if it's going to actually show. Let me go back to screen share. Under, can you see my settings right now in Zoom or no?
Yes.
Oh, you can see them. Okay. So there is actually the best thing for this is I would just type Zoom. It's going to come up Zoom hotkeys because I've gone to this many times. Yep. So just find the one specifically for mute all, toggle audio on all, toggle on off all except host for audio. So yeah, there are a lot of controls for this, and these are the macros that are set up. Now, if you don't have a Stream Deck, you could do this using a keyboard. The challenge just becomes, you know, to make sure that you have your own cheat sheet where you know that F6 is going to be switched to Zoom windows. I'm not very good about remembering those. The only ones I remember would be Control Paste, CV, select A, all is generally that. You know, there are some of these, P is print. There are some of these that are almost universal. O is usually open in most programs, but it's not always the case. And you get into issues that you could start to duplicate the same hotkeys or key commands or keyboard shortcuts in multiple programs, and then you get things happening to you in real time that you don't want to happen. So that was why I went to the Stream Deck, was I didn't want to have to try to remember all of these hotkey commands. Instead, I wanted a graphic key that I would press, and it would just allow me to instantly do what it is I wanted to do in Zoom. So that's helped me a little bit in Zoom, but it's still
That's
hard.
on howtogeek.com.
Yeah.
Okay. Hotkeys.
Yeah, hotkeys. They're really handy, and some of these you can do, like the push to speak function, I think is universal in Zoom. So if someone holds down the space bar in Zoom, that's like a walkie-talkie. It'll unmute their audio, and then they could talk for a while. But
Wow.
I went with the Stream Deck because I was just I can't remember Command Control V. Like, how am I ever going to remember that? Now, if you have a great memory, maybe you'll remember that, or you have a cheat sheet.
Now, Dr. Scott,
Yeah,
if you are on Zoom itself, not in the settings, but actually on a chat like we're doing right now, can't you mute everybody?
Sure.
As the host?
Yeah. So like right now, I could, let's see if there's, I mean, like right now, I just have to click over your portrait, mute and unmute. But what's easier is if I know I have one of these commands set up here. This should mute everybody. And you can see what just happened. I don't know if you see this, but
we can't see your
a warning came up.
Oh, no,
current and new participants will be muted. What's that?
Originally, we couldn't see it, but then you did something, and now we can see your Zoom window now.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I did a screenshot of it. So it's just giving me a warning, and if I agree with that, I hit continue. You're all muted, and then I can unmute all of you. So the way I did that, let me go back to my camera. I could just show you in real time. Again, this is using my. Let me make sure I have the right camera here. So I have here mute and unmute. So I'll just hit mute all, and it always does the warning, and then I will unmute all by pressing that. And that's all again in real time. So that's why I decided to do the Stream Deck, because I thought, you know, this is just gonna be a lot easier to run trainings or a class using some of the technology available. But it adds a learning curve, and it does add something else you're working with during a meeting. But I find that it's really easy to just have some main commands set up. The other option you can do is if you go to Amazon, again, our favorite, I want to make sure I'm screen sharing here. You for every program out there, you could just get, you know, if you type in hotkey keyboard, you'll probably find a bunch of options there. Some of these are specific to programs. So if you're working in Final Cut Pro or DaVinci Resolve doing color coding, you know, these are going to be maybe very specific to, and they're often skinned. So you could have them for different programs. And I'm sure there's one for Zoom. Or you could just get a really big keyboard like this that has maybe more key options. And then you can do your own custom mapping I shared in another video that you could just use some very simple stickers or laser printed sticky back paper, and you could just essentially do a cheap version of a Stream Deck by having your F5 be mute all, F6 is unmute all, and you could just put a sticker on there. It's not super, it's definitely cheaper than getting a Stream Deck. Now the advantage to the Stream Deck is when I am doing anything, this is the program that it uses. So all I have to do to set up a new command is basically just click on any of these windows. You could do counters. This is CPU usage. So you can see I'm at 60%. That's kind of significant. And anytime you then create, you could have nested folders. So you could add any number of hotkeys. It could be a new folder. It could be a multimedia switch. It could be something on YouTube. And that's pretty powerful. And you can also create custom icons and again, GIFs or GIFs that will actually move if you want that. So for me, it's a lot of time saving because I have to track a lot of stuff with the grant. Katie Myers is always like asking me, who came to your training? So I have, sheets set up. So if anyone does a one-on-one training or if I have a workshop or whatever, again, if I just click on this key, it automatically loads whatever it is assigned to that key. So if I have a report there, that will load up. If I need anything related to documents, I click on my Zoom document on my keypad and it loads it up. And so for me, I like the immediacy of just being able to click on a key and it does whatever I need. And particularly for programs I use a lot of, I'm always doing stuff in Logic or Final Cut Pro. So I click that and it loads up the program for me. So it's another way to kind of automate our lives, but I would say for live streaming, for anything you're doing live with students, there's a greater challenge. Like if I'm doing a tutorial video or I did a couple walkthrough videos for my students, if I make a mistake, I can edit that, I can redo it, whatever. But if I'm doing a live session, I feel like you have to control everything at once. And for me, it's a lot of multitasking and I don't think I'm great at multitasking. So that's the idea of maybe automating some of this with hotkeys or getting a Stream Deck or some other opportunities out there. I don't know. Do any of you have advice on how you do this in your workspace, whether you're teaching or doing stuff? Because I know Eric and Solange, you both do a ton of audio and video stuff. And like, do you have any tips on how to make this more automated for us if we're running Zoom sessions or?
No, I'm too new with Zoom to do that.
Okay, yeah.
But I am going to be meeting in about 8-9 minutes, and I am going to try at some point, probably tomorrow, to use Breakout Rooms. Is that easy? I don't want to take you off track right now.
Honest answer. Well, so I was in a workshop, this USC thing last week it was, and I found the breakouts. I was doing it as a participant, and I found like I felt weird in the breakout room because a couple people had hidden their videos. And then one guy, and these were all faculty members and administrators, he like never talked the whole time and he would just like put stuff in the chat. And I just found it like it was a little odd, the experience from a social standpoint. I know that Lori Thorne tried to set up some breakouts for, it was one of the faculty days at one of our training days in spring. I will just say it's tricky. I found it tricky. I'm on an accreditation visit currently. We did some breakouts, it worked fine. But the challenge is, like, if you say it's 10 minutes in the breakout room, it will just cut people off. And so like what happened to us, we were doing our accreditation meeting and the timer was telling us, but we kind of forgot to look at the timer and all of a sudden we were back in the main room. So you just have to tell your students to really manage their time. If you set a 10-minute time limit, it will cut them off exactly at 10 minutes and you all go back to the main room.
How do you create a breakout? Do you know offhand?
It's pretty easy. So all we would do is, I'm trying to see here. So I've got to do that setting on Zoom. I'm going to show you the screenshot again. This is for security reasons. So when you click on the,
change the setting on the fly. You can go and change the setting right now. Are you on the app or the program on your computer? If you go to the settings.
Yeah.
And I believe, let me
try
it through at the same time. If you go to the settings.
I think the keyword is like hidden, right? Or
yeah, show. So it's something like on video. Let's see now. Show.
Shows Zoom windows during screen share. Here we go.
Yeah, there it is. Exactly.
Okay. Okay, so now, do you see my Zoom bar? Or no?
We see
No.
your Zoom bar at the
You don't
bottom,
see-
but I don't know if that's.
Oh, no. Okay,
It's a
so I guess it's not.
It might have to be
Show Zoom
restarted.
windows. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
that's not the window.
Maybe stop the share and start the share again. Maybe it needs to know that setting when it first starts. Yeah.
okay, let's try that. Let me restart it. Now I'm trying to get this window out of my, okay, let's restart it. Try it again. No? Do you see the bar in the middle of the screen?
No.
Okay.
Maybe
Well,
it
I'll
has
show
to
you
be
the
set up
screenshot.
when the thing first starts, maybe.
Well, and there could be some things maybe, because I think with privacy, like with chat, I think probably it's defaulted. Like if chat ever appeared, because what if you were talking shit about someone in a Zoom and you shared that? Not that you would, right? But I mean, there's privacy issues with chat, and so I don't know. But so I just took a screenshot. So Solange, what you would do is you'd click on more, and then you'd click on breakout rooms. And once you do that, what happens, you'll get choices. Another screenshot here. We're getting serial box and serial box. So what you'll see is this window. And then you could choose to manually put people in rooms. So if you wanted very specifically to say, I want Joe and Sally and Jose and Tanya to be in room 1, you could do that. Or you could do it random and you just set up how many rooms and how many participants. You click breakout rooms, and then you'll have controls that will allow you to end the breakout rooms or to set them for a certain time. And we won't go through this, but it's pretty cool. I just found it as a user doing it, at least with the USC meetings the other day. I didn't like it because some people didn't participate. So I think it might be worthwhile to say, if you're doing breakout rooms, to define for the student what the experience is like. You know, like they can't just go take a break; they have to participate in their groups.
I used breakout rooms this week for the first class meeting because my class is so big. We have 35.
Yeah.
I wanted people to the chance to start introducing themselves to each other.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so there's no way that they can go around and with 35 within the first class period. So what I did is I broke them into like 10 to 12 size group, 10 to 12 size groups.
Okay.
And I asked them to introduce themselves with a few different criteria, like, what's their major and, where do they live now, more or less, what the interests are, that kind of stuff. And then fortunately I have a couple peer navigators that are helping me out with the Promise class. So I put one, once you do it randomly, you can readjust it and you can put somebody, if you want to lead a discussion in each one of those rooms. And then I was able to take one of the rooms in one of my sections, and another one of my sections, I just kind of popped into a couple different rooms, just checking in on them.
You can do that. I can pop in and check in on these rooms.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know.
You can pop in and out of the room. I don't know if you could just go from room to room. I think you could go into a room and you have to come back to the main office or the main room. And then you go to another room.
I think you're right.
It was still a little new and a little bit clunky for me, but I was able to pull it off, I think.
Yeah.
I want students to have 7 or 8 minute one-on-one conversations. At one point, one person is just going to be a listener, and then they're going to reverse roles. It's a really important way to start off my public speaking class. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to have to try that. I'll get to that next week, but I have a little mixer I want to try tomorrow that'll probably involve maybe 5 or 6 people in a group. So.
Yeah, what I say is experiment with it. And if we wanted, we could do, another session just for anyone interested on working with breakout rooms. It's definitely something that I think it takes a little more work than just, say, a screen share. You have to think about the strategy of how to put people in rooms and how many and how long and so forth. And,
can you preset that? You
can in, let's see, are my settings showing up again? This is why I wish I had a way to see, like with a second monitor, exactly what you're seeing. I could log in as a second version of myself, and I actually thought about doing that. But so if I just search for breakout room on here,
I just put a link in the chat as well there's a tutorial right on the Zoom website.
Okay.
And they kind of explain it. It's not too long of a video. It's kind of a nice video, and they explain the breakout rooms and how to control them and what's possible. So it's kind of nice too.
Yeah.
On the in the Zoom tutorial, where is that?
So in our chat right now, I put, can you see our chat? There's a link there to the Zoom tutorial, to the breakout room tutorial on the Zoom website.
Yeah, Mike.
At the bottom of your screen, almost off your computer.
Oh yes, it says
very bottom.
limitation. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So this, yeah, I've seen this one. This is really good. You can assign participants.
It's in the Zoom Help Center. Okay, man, it's over my head.
Yeah. So maybe, you know, that could be a really good possibility to make, you know, classes a little more interactive and to get some discussion going. And again, if Mike's doing the Promise class with 35 max each section, if you do introductions and each person takes 1 minute, that's 35 minutes.
Plus all the time in between this transition.
Yeah. And that's crazy. 35 minutes just to do intros. So, I mean,
I got 35 in my public speaking class.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, Eric, you're going to have to think about how to manage all that time, because you need them to talk to each other. But
I cut all the 8-minute speeches down to 2 minutes, you know.
Yeah, there you go.
What do you do?
Well, I know Eric has to go, and this was it was a little free form, but again, we can continue to meet, just, you know, reach out if you have other questions.
Are you doing this every Thursday, or is this the only day you're doing this?
Yeah, you know, I'm signing up to see how it goes. So I do have, just as we close here, I have a couple more coming up. So actually Tuesday, we'll do a teaching check-in. So if anyone is interested in that. And then I do have another one of these scheduled for, I think it's the 24th next week. And that was to talk about challenges with Zoom. So we could talk a little more about Zoom next week as well. So, and believe me, I have challenges. So
to pull my students, I go to their website. I mean, I go to my module. I go to the page of my class, go to Confirm Now, and it should be pretty obvious from there how to initiate this meeting.
Yes. Again, as long as you set it up, kind of going through those steps that we've been talking about.
I did set it up. So,
yeah.
Well, thank you, Scott. As always, man, I'm blessed with your help and support. I don't know.
No, I just appreciate everyone's work. And I know how hard it is and how stir crazy we're all getting.
Oh man, this is heavy for me.
It's
good to
hard.
see you lunch.
But it's the new normal. It's the new normal. So
okay.
Okay, everyone. So thanks, and please reach out if other questions come up. So.
Oh, you know I will.
Okay. Thanks, everyone.